Howdy y'all, and welcome to the Mr. Maple Show. I'm Tim, and this is Corbin. We're MrMaple.com, a family mail order business shipped directly to your door. Do over 1,000 varieties of Japanese maples. And guys, we list 10 new trees every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to talk about 10 of the actual 20 trees getting listed today.
Yeah, I mean, we're those crazy maple guys. As Tim used to say back in the day, man, it still holds up. Today we're going to be talking about an awesome Acer Palmatum Pung off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, Pung is an upright red linerlobum that just has that deep dark burgundy color. It just gives that nice bamboo feel out there in the garden. It's pretty good and vigorous.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know there's a couple different red linerlobums. People are always drawn to Pung. I like looking at those little differences that you see in all of them. Right now, I'm feeling a little lucky, man. Maybe some, like Clint Eastwood, feeling lucky Pung, man, So fall colors going right now. So you're going to get that vibrant cherry color that you can start to see on some of these leaves. And I just love how that kind of looks as the full tree moves to fall color. Getting that kind of sun playing like through the leaves. And with those thinness on the lobes, I think it really plays with the shadows. You're going to get that bright, fiery color that we love during the fall time. And this is a great cultivar.
Now, Japanese maples are from all over the world. With a name like Pung, you'd almost think that was Japanese, but this is a selection from South Korea, from the Tulipo arboretum, by Pung, who this tree is named after. When you type in Pung and put it in like Google Translate, trying to figure out what this is, and the name means wind blowing, which translates, great for a linerlobum that just sort of blows around in the wind like some bamboo.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be great to pair with some of those other linerlobums. I think some nice pairings you'd have this, and I know it's a size difference, but maybe next to a Siriu, man, you kind of get the play between those thin kind of upright lace leaf with this kind of, linerlobum style leaf, have the play between the colors. I think that would look really nice. Yeah, Pung is a great plant.
I mean, pair this with the yellow thread, summer gold, or golden falls, and you're going to have yourself a happy day.
All right, guys. Next up, we got an awesome Norway maple, Acer platanoides, Walderseei.
Walderseei we've offered before in 2 gallons. I don't think we've offered it in 1 gallons before, so this is our first time offering it in 1 gallons. Walderseei is basically like the Ukigumo of Norway maples. I mean, you get that milky swirl all across each and every leaf on a big Acer platanoides leaf.
Yeah, I mean, I love the plats. As the cool kids say, Acer plat, man. Especially, you got those Princeton Gold, you got the Walderseei, you got the Drummondii, and yeah, I really think that all those kind of, they help people that are in colder climates kind of get some awesome maples. But then, yeah, you can grow it pretty much anywhere and have that ornamental appeal to them. I love the leaf shape too. I really think that it kind of adds a little extra texture if you're just rocking those straight Japanese maples. And the fall color is looking pretty nice right now too.
Now, Japanese maple enthusiasts typically start out with Acer Palmatum, and they go through and start collecting all the Acer Palmatum varieties they can get. As you become more sophisticated, people start collecting many of these other interesting maples like Acer platanoides, Walderseei, that are hard to grab a hold of and hard to find. Because you start to realize the rarity of this is sometimes rarer than some of the other palmatums you may be going after. So don't wait. If you're a novice, go ahead and get your Walderseei. Get that sophisticated garden, that sophisticated collection growing more and more at that early stage, and your garden's going to be awesome.
Guys, bust your banjos out. Go find a nice swamp log to sit on, and get ready to sing to Acer Palmatum, Miss Piggy.
I mean, Miss Piggy is crazy. It has fasciated growth, which is this weird contorted secca-like growth that's very unusual and different. This particular one I'm looking at, someone had grafted a fasciated spot of it, and then it grew up from there. I see a fasciated spot in here, on yours, and they'll often get them on the ends of the new growth, which gives this pig-like tail where it gets the name Miss Piggy. Yeah,
I mean, this past open house, I definitely saw a customer picking out a pretty awesome Miss Piggy. I just love that it just looks unlike anything else that you're going to see out of some maples. I mean, there's only a couple in that secca-traded growth, which is really cool to me because, you get one of those hoity-toity plant people coming over, they're trying to figure out whatever you got in the garden, man, and they pull up that key This might stump them, especially if they're looking at some of that fasciated growth. I just think that anything that kind of pushes that the species a little bit further, those little fringe mutations are some of my favorite things about Japanese maples, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the key on Japanese maples, on maples in general, you've got buds that are opposite. And those opposite buds sort of twist as they go up. With this, you can actually have buds that are almost alternating, but not even in opposite sides, like circular spinning, which is very different than what you think of traditional Japanese maple. So it definitely breaks those keys of what people would key out as a maple for sure. And that's one of the things that makes this tree interesting. And in the wintertime, when you have those fasciated growths just twisting and curling across this tree, it adds a unique specimen out there in the landscape to enjoy. And when it's got its leaves on it, it's great. It's a Japanese maple. It doesn't give you great fall color as well. But out of leaf, I mean, that's when I think Miss Piggy really shines.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has that winter interest. And I just love some of the pictures we have on the website, man. I think Joe did a really great job. It's so much movement in just that fasciation, and those buds just kind of speckle and give a little bit of color to like the limb itself. Very, very beautiful. Miss Piggy, an awesome tree.
Guys, next up we've got Acer shirasawanum Jordan, one of the more vigorous golden full moon Japanese maples.
Yeah, I mean, in my head, every time I hear Jordan, you know, I think of my homie out in Oregon, but then I think about Matt talking about the highlighter yellow. He's like, this is the highlighter yellow color maple out there in the garden. Amy's always bringing it up. You know, this guy, he might like a little bit of yellow. So, tell him what you think about Jordan, man.
I mean, I love that this tree can just get that sort of highlighter yellow in the summer with a little bit of sunlight. Morning sun, afternoon shade in some spots in the south, but can actually handle full sun in many climates where Arium can't. So it's definitely more sun tolerant and more vigorous than the traditional Arium golden full moon Japanese maple. It's very vigorous, and new growth will look more palmatum-like, but as this tree matures, as Jordan matures, the leaf becomes more and more round like your traditional Acer shirasawanum Arium. That makes big specimens of this extremely impressive and really beautiful out there in the landscape. It is a hybrid Palmatum x shirasawanum. Its sister seedling is Summer Gold. One's listed as Summer Gold's listed as a Palmatum, while Jordan's listed as a shirasawanum. And that's because as those leaves mature, Summer Gold still looks more Palmatum and Jordan looks more shirasawanum.
Yeah, I think it's awesome too. You start to get that contrast between the textures in both of the leaf, especially at a younger tree, you can see that. But yeah, I just love the yellow on these trees. One of my favorite things about those yellows is once you start to get, you know, a little bit hotter, that sun starts to kind of hit those different parts of the leaves, you just kind of get like a little bleaching. And I love that kind of, you know, I'd say washed out, but that's kind of, you know, that's a little bit of an undercut right there. I really think it just adds a little bit more texture, a little bit more depth to the leaf.
Highlights it.
Yes, exactly. And that's just one of my favorite things about all the yellows. But Jordan, that's got to be one of the most consistent yellows and looks awesome.
And this is one of our most heavily in-demand yellows when we offer it, so do check out fast. Jordan's one that, you know, we don't offer as much as Summer Gold. So a lot of people don't have Jordan in their garden as frequently as they do Summer Gold. Grab one of these today, y'all.
Guys, from shirasawanum to Japonicum, we got an awesome Abby's Weeping right here.
And some great sizes on these too. I mean, Abby's Weeping is that good mid-sized lace leaf shirasawanum. It's slower growing than something like Green Cascade, slower growing than something like Oregon Fern, but much, I would say faster growing than something like Fairy Lights. It's right there in between, making a good small to mid-sized tree for your garden.
Yeah, I love the shape on these. I mean, even as like 1 gallons right here, these really have some really defined form, some nice shape already. And that fall color is starting to peek through right now, man. Which, if you're just getting into the game, you know, into that maple life, man, well, I'm happy for you. But also, Japonicums are just a standout for that consistent fall color. I know Tim's always talking about how they change like kind of based on the time of day instead of like conditional factors a lot of the time.
Yeah, how much sunlight you're getting during the day shrinks during the fall, and that can trigger fall color in many of the Acer Japonicum varieties, which is very different than your typical environmental factors, which typically relates to cold temperatures, moisture, and so you can get more consistent fall colors out of many of the Acer Japonicums because of that. So this is going to give you that weeping aesthetic effect that people think of most Acer palmatum dissectums, but with larger leaves, since this is an Acer Japonicum.
Yeah, I just love the texture of that leaf too, man. I just love how pronounced that lace leaf kind of is on the Japonicums. You know, you can definitely tell a difference between, you know, palmatum lace leaf versus a Japonicum. And especially when that fall color starts to get tuned up. I really just love a nice specimen of this in the garden too, just kind of having those levels. And yeah, this is spectacular year round. But yeah, can't lay heavy enough on how awesome this would look in your garden during the fall time.
Guys, next up we got Acer palmatum Koto maru, also known as Koto maru.
Yeah, so this is going to be an awesome dwarf maple. You can see they're kind of a little vigorous at a younger age. Maybe similar to maybe something like Seiho, where it puts off these long branches right off at the beginning, but then really focuses on densing up over time. And it's a witch's broom, man.
I get emails all the time when people say, you know, this tree says it's going to get to 3 feet by 3 feet in 10 years, but here we've already got a tree that's 2.5 years old and it's already close to 3 feet. Well, guys, this is one of the slower growing witch's brooms. It's dense, compact. It's great for containers, great for those small places, spaces in the garden. Like you were talking about, it does have a lot of height to it already, but what it's going to do is get a lot of density to it. Trees grow quite differently per cultivar, and this is one of those trees that can get out there but then densen up and really fill out that small space in your garden really well.
Yeah, I just love the witch's broom varieties. They call them like crab leaves in Japan because, you know, the leaf ends up looking like that a little bit, which, I mean, I guess that kind of looks a little bit like a crab. Things I would pair this up with, you know, Hime Shoujo, Jerry Schwartz, those red witch's brooms. You're going to get the play between the color, but then you're going to have similarities between that shape and that form. And I really think that putting things that have a similar DNA to them in the gardens really kind of helps accentuate different features. And Koto maru is definitely one that I'm going to have to look at a little bit differently now, man. This is some nice sizes on these guys. I think that, you know, if you wanted to prune a little bit, you could definitely, this is kind of a blank canvas as it goes, man. So really, really awesome cultivar.
Guys, grab your Koto maru today. Guys, next up we have a Baton Rouge.
Yeah, man, get you some jambalaya, man, some beignets, and go outside, drink a little coffee. The Baton Rouge, that red stick out there, it's going to look amazing during the winter time. It's going to look amazing during the fall time. And it looks good during the springtime too, as those greens kind of contrast with that late winter red on the bark.
I know everybody from Louisiana wants themselves a Baton Rouge. People in the deep south want a Baton Rouge because it's very heat tolerant. The name Baton Rouge means red stick or red twig, and that's because this gives a red bark during those winter months that's really attractive. Unlike Sengukaku, this one can actually get some shades of red in the fall, which is very different, where Sengukaku typically goes to more yellows. Baton Rouge is also more heat tolerant. It's a selection from Warren, Texas, where it is one of the most heat tolerant Japanese maples I've seen, being able to handle a lot of sun down there in Warren, Texas. You know, if you have one of these trees out in the sun, let it get established, and then it should be able to handle more as it gets more established. Like any new planting Japanese maple, you may see a little bit of burn when it's first getting established. But I'm telling you, this is one of the most heat tolerant trees I've grown, and it's really beautiful, it's durable, and it gives you that red bark during those winter months.
I think one of my favorite things, and it just kind of, whenever I think about this cultivar, I'm brought back to my very first year working at MrMaple, where we were potting up some liners of these. And just that whole tray of liners during the wintertime was just completely red. And it just looked like the tray was on fire, man. And there's no leaves, only branches. And that tree really got sold to me in that moment. I was really like, wow, like this looks so much different than a Sengukaku that has kind of those like shrimpier pinks in it. It's a deep red. You know, it's gonna definitely kind of mimic some of those spring colors that you're gonna get out of stuff like the shoujo and that sort of thing.
You definitely get some more bronze colors when it leaves out, for sure.
But just that bark, the play between the bark is just so nice and very, very amazing. This definitely was one of my top fives whenever I first started. And yeah, now that I'm looking at it, these are pretty nice pots too. All right, guys, I know Halloween was just a couple days ago. But hey, you could still be dancing with the ghost with the Acer Palmatum Ghost Dancer. Not one of the, you know, it's an honorary member of that ghost family. Super amazing now.
I think every time I see any ghost, when any Japanese maple with a ghost name now, I think about Scott from the Halloween costume contest, looking like he's a ghost and pulling off. Guys, surprise, you should go check out our Japanese maple open house for the fall video. You can see that in full glory. Boy, it was a surprise. Did not expect that coming. He shocked everybody. But Ghost Dancer is just this really nice white reticulated style that was introduced in Oregon near Talon Buckholz by one of his neighbors while he was introducing First Ghost. So First Ghost has that purple border in the early spring. This also has a purple tinge to it, but it's different. It's a little more upright than First Ghost, makes it a little bit larger of a tree, but it also has a little bit more full of a leaf than First Ghost as well, where First Ghost may be a little more divided.
Yeah, I mean, this one really spoke to me. I think it's something that was cool that we saw, I guess, this past spring, was actually reticulation on the bud protectors, man. I mean, I know that's probably a little bit of a conditional thing, but that was just so cool. It's like, I honestly love the bud shields. I feel like they give like a little bit of extra ornamentality for most trees, but then to actually be able to see the veining inside of them, that was just really cool for me.
Guys, Ghost Dancer, it's a good mid-sized upright tree. Give it some protection from the hot afternoon sun to hold that reticulation long throughout the season. But for me, this one's a fantastic tree. It's an honorary member of the Ghost series. It's not a full member. Talon wasn't one of Talon's introductions, but he says, you know what? I'm going to give it an honorary member status. So for me, you know, it's that honorary 10th member.
Exactly. All right, guys. This might go really well, that Miss Piggy, because we got Acer Palmatum and Lily Pad. This is one of my favorite Macawa forms, man. I'll just go out there and put that out there. It is just so fantastic with that variegation it has. The shape of it is very nice. And a little surprise for me this year was that fall color. I mean, getting that two-tone effect on that leaf is just something that was so amazing. I mean, it almost looked like Benny Shishihinga out there during the fall time, man. It was awesome.
Like right now, you're starting to see fall color hit some of these that are in the cold frames, like yours is at your house, where you see that sort of pink red coming on the edging where this thing is variegated. Now, lily pad was found as a variegated sport on the side of Macawa yetsubusa. And that makes it a very special dwarf Macawa form just because it's a variegated Macawa. Its leaf is a little more divided, something to the kin of something like Kamagata. So you're like, okay, this is special. And it's typically a green on green variegation. But in the fall, when the fall hits up, you can get multi-tones across the fall color, which is makes this a really fun tree to have out there in the garden in the fall. But the shape that you're mentioning, that is probably what gives lily pad its name. It's green, you know, it's got that green color, but instead of growing like a traditional Macawa yetsubusa, it almost becomes like a little flat pad out there. And that's where it gets the name lily pad.
Yeah, I just love that. I really love kind of that textural, or that kind of structural difference that you see between the two. We have one planted on the hill, and it's just lined around. I mean, there's a couple other Macawas, man, but this one stands out, especially for that form. Yeah, it puts on a little bit more, I don't know if it would call it vigorous, but it just really gets dense and nice as it kind of spreads out. Very full looking tree. And yeah, you want to get up right next to it during fall time because you just see all those kind of nuances to the color. You see that two-tone effect. And as I've started collecting, like I just love variegated plants even more because of that. And lily pad is one you don't want to sleep on.
Grab you that quick. It is one that people jump after here on Mr. Maple. The Macawa variants have a lot of hype behind them. We keep trying to offer them in larger sets so that make it easier for you to attain. Guys, get you a lily pad if you don't have one. If you have one, there's a likely chance you're going to be getting another one just because it's so awesome. And we've got some really good size 1 gallons listing today.
Oh yeah. All right, guys. You know, I was talking earlier with that Miss Piggy about how I love trees that kind of push the species further. Who doesn't love spring color and who doesn't love pine bark, man? Well, right here, Acer Palmatum Allen's Gold has got both of those things.
I mean, Allen's Gold is an amazing pine bark selection. And it wasn't selected for its pine bark habit. Pine bark is a unique trait that can happen on a tree as it starts to develop these little ridges across the tree. And as they cluster together, it looks like the bark that's on a pine, which gives this tree a very aged appearance out there in the garden. You don't think about it, but when you see one of these out in the garden, it makes the appearance that you've got a tree that could be 40, 50 years old, and it may only be 8 to 10 years old. And that gives it a very attractive feeling, especially if you're into bonsai. But Allen's Gold is not just that. It leaves out in the spring with some intense oranges, later going to yellow. That's what it was actually selected for, was that spring interest. And then later they found out, guys, it's not only spring interest, it's got that pine bark too.
Yeah, man, I love that about trees too, man. It's like, there's just some that are just like that, man, where it's like, it has enough merit to just get selected on its own for spring color alone. And then you just get that little extra cherry on top of that pine bark that kind of is developing. I just love that. And I really think that just having that spring interest with a little bit extra is just so important. I think, like you said, man, they just look old. They have the pine barks, they really have a nice just energy about them in the gardens. I can think about all the awesome ones I've seen. We have a really beautiful pine bark in our kind of little Mr. Maple garden. I think about Maple Walk, where he has this huge just pine bark. The fall color is so amazing. The pine bark really just contrasts with everything else in the garden, and it really is just super, super awesome.
Well, guys, that was 10 of the 20 trees getting listed today at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on MrMaple.com. At 10 a.m., all 20 items list. These 10 plus the other 10 items that are on our weekly email you can sign up for on Mr. Maple. So, guys, appreciate y'all jumping in today. Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.